back-to-back NBA titles, the Pistons showed their vulnerability in age when they were swept in last season's playoffs. Changes were needed. Detroit had to find a new formula for success. New faces arrived, but the Pistons struggled early. They needed a spark, a reason to believe. Enter Dennis Rodman. At 6'8", Rodman is leading the league in rebounding, and his intensity has affected the entire team. Joe Dumars has shown his teammates the commitment it takes to win. While Isaiah Thomas is once again leading Detroit on the court as the Pistons scramble for favorable playoff position. In the city of brotherly love, it is a one-man affair. Charles is in charge. Each time he walks on the court, he knows the team, the fans, and the city are looking to him. He has had his moments, dominated games. But Barkley's Sixers have never made the finals, and Charles may be feeling the frustration. At times, he has alienated his teammates. Sir Charles has carried this franchise on his back, but he too will have to shoulder the blame if the Sixers don't turn it around soon.
This is the NBA on NBC. Today, it's the Detroit Pistons versus the Philadelphia 76ers.
A near-capacity crowd at the Spectrum in Philadelphia, 18,000 turning out for the second meeting of the season between the Pistons and the 76ers. Detroit with a record of 28-22. They're third of the Central Division. They're 5 games behind Cleveland, while Philadelphia 24-26 in a third-place tie with surprising Miami. Hi, everybody. I'm Marv Albert, along with the czar of the telestrator, Mike Fratello. And Mike, the major story concerning the 76ers these days revolves around the trade speculation which has touched Charles Barkley, and recently his numbers have dipped. His stats are off. Do you think the trade talk has bothered Charles?
Marv, Charles is only human, and we all like to be loved. It's hard for me to believe that the off-court incidents haven't affected his on-court play. The book where he criticizes teammates and front office management, the out-of-town confrontation with fans, and then most recently, the trade speculation that Charles will be moved have all taken their toll. His shot attempts are down this season. His points per game down almost 5, and then his free throw shooting under 70% for the first time in the last 6 seasons. Charles has to be at his best for the 76ers to win.
As for Detroit, they have lost their last 2. Now, they had won their previous 4. They thought they were on a roll just prior to the All-Star break, but it's been a very difficult season for Coach Chuck Daly.
Well, players have good years and bad years. Coaches have hard years and even harder years. After leading the Pistons to 2 world championships, things have changed for Chuck Daly. He loses James Edwards and Vinnie Johnson in the offseason. The team is getting older. He brings in a new nucleus. Then his captain, Isaiah Thomas, is slighted by the Olympic Selection Committee. And now Mark Aguirre is still unhappy about his contract situation. I think X's and O's take a back seat here to juggling the psyche of these players. And then keep in mind, he still has to coach the Olympic team come this summer when the regular season's over.
All right, coming up, it's the Pistons and the 76ers from the Spectrum in Philadelphia, the first of our NBA doubleheader. When we come back.
This is our vision of what a luxury sedan should be. Not because it offers rich leather and anti-lock brakes, but because it comes standard with an airbag on the driver's side and the passenger side as well, creating a luxury sedan where even peace of mind is shared. The new 929, the first luxury sedan from the new Mazda.
It just feels right. There's a hunger inside you, and it won't go away. There's a hunger inside you, growing stronger every day.
Snickers Bar, the official snack food sponsor of the 1992 U.S. Olympic team. Packed with fresh roasted peanuts, thick milk chocolate, and caramel, Snickers satisfies the hunger inside you.
There's a hunger inside me. There's a hunger inside you.
The NBA on NBC is brought to you by the new Mazda. Mazda, it just feels right. By the people at Nike, who encourage you to just do it. And by Coors Light, the silver bullet is the right beer now.
Well, the 76ers and the Pistons are completing their pregame warm-ups. Detroit coming off a Thursday night loss at home to Minnesota by the score of 96-93, and that was their 10th home loss, the most defeats in their 4 seasons of play at the Palace. Last year they dropped only 9, so they have had some troubles at home, while the 76ers lost at the New Jersey Meadowlands Friday night, lost to the Nets 107-99. We're set for the introduction of the lineups. Let's go to the public address voice of the Spectrum, Jim Wise.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, let's greet this afternoon's starting lineups. First, for the visiting Detroit Pistons. At one guard, his 7th season of McNeese, stayed at 6'3", number 4, Joe Dumars. Also in the backcourt is 11th season of Indiana, 6'1", number 11, Isaiah Thomas. The center in his 12th season of Notre Dame, 6'11", number 40, Bill Laimbeer. And one forward is 11th season of Notre Dame, 6'9", Orlando Woolridge. And at the other forward, his 6th season from Southeast Oklahoma State is 6'8", number 10, Dennis Rodman. The Pistons, coached by Chuck Daly. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the starting lineup for your Philadelphia 76ers. At one guard, his 6th season of Duke at 6'2", number 12, Johnny Dawkins. Also in the backcourt, his 4th season of Bradley, 6'3", number 33, the Hawk, Hershey Hawkins. The center in his 5th season of Nevada, Las Vegas, 6'9", number 35, the Hammer, Armin Gilliam. And one forward in his 2nd season of St. John's at 6'10", number 55, Jason Williams. And at the other forward, in his 8th season of Auburn at 6'6", number 32, the captain, Charles Barkley. 76ers are coached by Jim Lynam.
And Jim Lynam with a lineup change. Jason Williams making his 2nd start, replacing the disappointing Charles Shackelford. Joining us on today's telecast to check out sideline activities, Tom Hammond. Tom has a late report on Isaiah Thomas. Tom?
Marv, Isaiah is in the Pistons starting lineup despite some extremely sore feet. He recently had some soft corns burned off with silver nitrate. It removed the corns all right, but it left his feet extremely tender. He's played the last 2 games with this condition, and he told me it really affects his ability to cut sharply. There was some thought about sitting out today's game, but he will play, although those sore feet may affect his performance today.
All right, Tom. So the ailments and the injuries continue to plague Isaiah Thomas. The officials, Jake O'Donnell, Tommy Nunez, and Terry Durham, as we get ready for the 2nd meeting of the season between these 2 clubs. Back in mid-November at the Palace, Philadelphia beat Detroit 89-86. The Sixers have won the last 4 here against the Pistons. Last year they split the season series at 2-2. Jason Williams out of St. John's University in his 2nd NBA season, jumping against Orlando Woolridge, and the Pistons control the tip. Dumars guarded by Hawkins. Aguirre over Gilliam. And it's Jason Williams with the rebound.
A little bit unusual. Detroit comes out and starts running Chicago Bulls offense, the triangle or triple post offense that Chicago uses. Detroit's been working on it, using it quite a bit, in fact.
Hawkins. Percy Hawkins, who shot only 4 for 17 on Friday night against the New Jersey Nets, able to convert on his first attempt. Thomas being played by Dawkins. Nice pick and roll for Rodman. Well done. And the game is tied at 2.
You're wondering why they might change an offense and start using someone else's, because after 5-6 year run together with this team, sometimes it's nice to just bring in some fresh stuff. The players enjoy it, and he likes the offense, Chuck Daly. It gives him some movement.
And the Sixers try to go to the pick and roll route, but it was stifled by the Pistons. A triangle designed to get more motion, more players touching the ball. Here's Woolridge. Chuck Daly telling us, hey, we've seen the Bulls so successful at it. Of course, they have a fellow by the name of Jordan who helps matters whatever offense you're running. But he felt that it was time to make a change.
It doesn't mean that you still don't get back to your strength. For Detroit, that's pick and roll basketball, two-man game. But it's how you get into it and give some different looks right there. There's a flash post, guard around series.
And Barkley able to tear it down. Dawkins and Hawkins in the backcourt. It's Barkley up front with Gilliam and Williams. Percy Hawkins on a quick release. And Rodman, the NBA's leading rebounder, able to pull it down. 2 minutes have gone by. The game tied at 2. Dumars. Yes. Pistons 4 and the 76ers 2.
The bulk of the offense for Detroit carried by the backcourt. Isaiah Thomas, Joe Dumars, those are the go-to guys. They must make it happen.
Battle between Rodman and Barkley. Now Woolridge over to help out.
As soon as Barkley dribbles out of the low post, they take the double team off.
Charles Barkley shows the outside touch, and as we mentioned at the start, he's struggled recently, only 6 for 15 on Friday night against the Nets, although he was team high with 23 points. Here's Thomas. Rodman able to get to it. What a play by Dennis Rodman, first keeping it alive and then able to convert for a 6-4 Detroit lead. The previous game, Charles Barkley only 2 for 7 for 6 points. How unusual it is to check the box score and see Barkley attempt only 7 shots.
Well, because most of your premier players, as Armin Gilliam misses an open jumper, most of your premier players are going to get somewhere between 18, 25 shots a game. To be held to only 7, either an outstanding defensive job or something else is out.
And Aguirre off the mark. Barkley being played by Woolridge.
And this is the isolation where he has an entire side of the floor to read the defense. If they double, that time Detroit came early.
Dawkins attempting the three-pointer.
What Charles will do in that isolation is hold the ball, dribble it in the same spot, see if anybody runs at him early, and then it's a matter of picking out his open teammates once the double team occurs.
Pistons with a 6-4 lead. Isaiah attempting the crossover, but Gilliam over to help out on a double. And Woolridge threw it away.
Problem that time, Woolridge trying to pass the ball in the air before he came down, trying to get the quick reversal.
Foul called on Woolridge. That will not count. Barkley was blocked.
What happened that time in transition, Orlando Woolridge winds up picking up Charles Barkley. One of the things Chuck Daly is concerned about is Dennis Rodman or Barkley could pick up early fouls. Chuck does not want that.
Now Jason Williams posting up. Nice move by Jason Williams, making only his second start of the season. Originally a #1 draft pick of the Phoenix Suns. Last year as a rookie with the Sixers, he showed some flashes. Charles Shackelford, the starting center, has been a major disappointment. and also has heard it from the crowd on a number of occasions. Foul called on Johnny Dawkins.
And sometimes when a player falls into that type of situation where the crowd is on him, he struggles, it's best to get him out of the starting lineup, put someone else in, bring him off the bench, see if he can get it going that way.
Thomas with the dish off. Ready set up for Orlando Woolridge. The Pistons 8 and the Sixers 6. 4.5 gone by. Laimbeer stepping out on a switch. Gilliam stopped by Laimbeer. Caught him from behind. And a nice save by Rodman.
Philadelphia coming right back at Detroit with a little two-man game. Pick and roll from there.
Thomas will go to the foul line. The outside official, Tommy Nunez, with the call. A blocking foul. It's called on Jason Williams. Timeout has been taken. 6:52 to go in the first. 6:52 to go in the first quarter. It's Detroit 8, Philadelphia 6. Charles Barkley, not one to shy away from physical play. In fact, he told us yesterday that he admires the Pistons' style of intimidation. And we talked about it with Charles.
The Pistons did whatever it takes to win. That's the bottom line. I beat people up to win a championship, so I'm not going to sit here and badmouth them guys. Obviously, there were times that frustrated me because they were beating us, but, you know, physical intimidation is important in sports. Like when the guy comes across the middle in football, you try to take his head off, and he's going to think about it. When we played the Pistons a few years ago, you wasn't worrying about how many points of rebound you were going to get. You were wondering which way I was going to hit you next. And it won championships, and that's the bottom line.
I think in fairness to Charles, a lot of the frustration came through the intentional fouls that Detroit would take against him, putting him on the free throw line, forcing him to make his foul shots. Charles became a better free throw shooter. This year has moved backwards, shooting 69% from the foul line, not his normal 74%.
And the Sixers only 3 for 9 in this first quarter. Dennis Rodman getting right to the boards. He has 5 rebounds. Jim Lynam, the head coach of the Philadelphia 76ers, one-time coach of the San Diego and Los Angeles Clippers, had great success as coach at St. Joseph's of Philadelphia. Played for Jack Ramsey at St. Joe's. Jim now in his 5th year as the Sixer coach. Many NBA people who feel that he's among the league's top at his job. He's done a superb, a yeoman's job with a very difficult group here in Philadelphia.
Excellent teacher, enjoys breaking down the game to the small points.
Pistons with a 9-6 lead.
And Detroit showing a little full court pressure, something that we saw Philadelphia work on in practice yesterday, anticipating this.
Nice move by Hawkins, fouled by Thomas. Percy Hawkins, one of the NBA's better free throw shooters, will go to the line.
Idea here is to keep yourself between the ball and the basket. Try to eliminate dribble penetration. That time, getting a little bit too deep off the dribble.
And a 20-second timeout taken by the 76ers. Looked like Hawkins was shaken up.
Looks like a finger in the eye right there, and they'll go over and see if they can get that cleared up.
This the first part of an NBA doubleheader. Coming up next, it will be the Boston Celtics and the Los Angeles Lakers from the Forum in LA. Dick Enberg, Steve Jones, and Ahmad Rashad. Ahmad, incidentally, will take sideline reporting, I'm told, to another dimension, greatly influenced by Cedric Ceballos' performance in the slam dunk competition in Orlando. Ahmad will incredibly handle his sideline reporting blindfolded. Just wanted to point that out to you, Mike.
And I have no comment on that.
All right, Hawkins, all right. He's an 87% free throw shooter. Percy Hawkins in his 4th year out of Bradley. Last season, a banner year, he averaged 22 a game. Made the All-Star team. This year, his shooting has dropped off slightly.
Well, he also takes a very high number of three-pointers, which is going to bring his percentage down. If you eliminate those three-point attempts, he'll be shooting very well for a guard.
Pistons 9 and the Sixers 8. Dumars chest to chest. with Hawkins. Goes to the spin. Rodman with the rebound. Dumars for three. And Armin Gilliam comes away with it.
I'm not sure that Joe Dumars really wanted to shoot that three-pointer.
And Hawkins not able to hit.
What I mean by that is he's been so selective in his three-point attempts this year. That one was a hurried one.
Just under 6 minutes to go in the first. And Dumars was pounded. Fouled by Gilliam. Oh, they say Hawkins got him first, so that's his first.
And the isolation winds up being for the two guard. One of the ways to stop a good offensive player, Hawkins, is to go at him at the defensive end of the floor, put early fouls on him, hope to get him on the bench.
Joe Dumars, three-time NBA All-Star, most valuable player of the '89 championship season when the Pistons won their first title. And he leads the NBA in three-point shooting percentage, 46%. And as you say, selective from downtown. He's 32 for 69. This is Kenny Payne checking in, replacing Hersey Hawkins.
Just before the All-Star break, Detroit had gone into the break winning 4 in a row. They were 18-6 in those last 24 games. And Joe said that at the All-Star game, the difference is we remembered how hard we have to play to win. We're back to playing that hard again. And you can see the crispness in their game today.
Pistons 11, 76ers 8. Now Payne met by some light pressure. So Kenny Payne is now in at the shooting guard position, combining in the backcourt with Johnny Dawkins.
And Philadelphia not getting into their set offense until about 11 seconds left on the 24-second clock.
Dumars tried to save it, but he stepped out. Hersey Hawkins is headed back to the locker room. Took that poke in the eye a moment ago. Sixers have the new 24. Here's Jason Williams, rejected by Orlando Woolridge.
Jimmy Liner mentioned to us yesterday that Jason Williams into the starting lineup, he makes things happen. Little ball fake and then sees the seam, puts it down. Unfortunately, Woolridge with a good rotation gets the block.
Here's Payne. Last touch by Payne. Kenny Payne, in his third season out of Louisville, has become the Sixers' backup shooting guard with Mitchell Wiggins on the injured list.
And considering the fact that he plays very few minutes, he's shooting almost 50%.
Oh, beautiful penetration by Joe Dumars, and Detroit leads 13-8.
They can fool around with Chicago's offense, but in the end, they get back to what they do best, and that's play pick and roll, two-man basketball with their two guards.
Sixers have hit only one of their last 8 from the field. Again, the good double team on Barkley. Dawkins from downtown. No, it's changed to a 2. He was on the line. It's the Pistons by 3. Ron Anderson getting set to come on for the first time. Aguirre has been off. Rodman again. 8 rebounds. And we still have 4.5 to go in the first. Dumars not able to hit the 3.
It's so unusual to see Bill Aguirre step back and miss an open shot. For years, he never missed it.
Oh, Kenny Payne firing high and wide. And the Pistons get down in a hurry. Woolridge with the ball fake and able to hit. What a move by Orlando Woolridge.
And Detroit making an effort here to up the tempo a little bit, push the ball back, get their people out running. They have 2 forwards that can run down the floor, Woolridge and Rodman.
Sixer shooting has been awful here in the first quarter. Aguirre thought he had the clean strip, but a foul is called, as it is explained by Jake O'Donnell.
And Jake is explaining to Bill, look, Bill, the swipe with the left hand was good. That was clean. It was the right hand in the back where I called the foul.
Ron Anderson replacing Jason Williams, leads with a field goal for 2. Ron Anderson in his 8th year out of Fresno State comes on to provide instant offense.
Jake O'Donnell trying to make Bill Aguirre feel a little bit good, that he played half the defense was good, the other half not so good.
Did he say nice play, Bill?
No.
Just under 4 minutes remaining in this opening quarter. Pistons 15 and the 76ers 12. Detroit coming off a a loss at home Thursday night at the hands of the Minnesota Timberwolves. Foul on Anderson, a pushing foul.
One of the problems that Ron Anderson has when he comes into the game as a two-guard and has to defend against other two-guards, that's been a problem for him, as evidenced in last year's playoffs when he was matched up against Michael Jordan. But then again, Michael Jordan causes problems for a lot of two-guards that try to play him.
Ron Anderson had a good regular season, but in the playoffs had his difficulties also, shooting just 32%. Dumars and Barkley with the rebound.
But Ron Anderson still remains one of the most feared people coming off the bench. He gets it going quickly.
And Payne brings the Sixers within one. Kenny Payne, back in the 1989 draft, regarded as the second best pure shooter to Glenn Rice, but has not done it to this point in the NBA, has not received the minutes. Lane Beer, nice whip pass from Dumars.
There's the involvement of other people that Chuck Daly was talking about. The ball stays in the guard's hands, but then they have the ability to find the other open players.
Pistons lead by 3. Gilliam, 5 on the 24. Lane Beer tried to draw the foul. Barkley missed the rebound after the good box out, although Rodman thought that he was pushed. Thomas met by Dawkins. 2:20 to go. In this first quarter, Detroit with the ball. They lead by 3. John Sally getting set to check in. Shot clock at 3. It's down to 1. 24-second violation.
And the confusion came as the ball came over the half-court line. The Pistons were not sure what offensive set they wanted to get into.
And now Chuck Daly calling for a timeout with 2:07 remaining in the first.
Tom Hammond back at the Spectrum. Hersey Hawkins of the Sixers received a scratch to his eye earlier. They put some medication on it back in the locker room, but he's going to go back in the game. The problem is the scratch is on the top of the eyeball. He can see down okay, but when he looks up, it bothers him. He's going to try to play again. They'll check him at halftime. Marv?
All right, Tom. 2 minutes, 7 seconds remaining in the first quarter, and the 76ers trailing the Pistons 17-14. A poor shooting first quarter for both clubs.
But keep in mind, both of these teams get after it pretty well at the defensive end of the floor, so you're not going to get easy, uncontested shots. And then transition has been very minimal amount in the game so far.
Anderson being guarded by Woolridge. The outstanding stat in this first quarter, Dennis Rodman already has 10, counted 10 rebounds. Gilliam moving on Sally. Armin Gilliam able to work his way inside on John Sally.
Gilliam wants to turn for that right-handed jump hook. Sally, good job with the scouting report, took it away, made him go left that time.
Woolridge up front now with Sally and Rodman. Dumars drawing a double team. Here's Sally stopped. Gilliam got a piece of it, but Sally was able to bank it home.
In the offseason, when Chuck Daly looked at the team, there were 2 players that he wanted to get more touches of the basketball during the game. One was Dennis Rodman, the other John Sally. Get them more involved in what was happening offensively.
Pistons lead by 3 as we come up on 1 minute remaining in the first. Pretty pass from Barkley, and Gilliam cuts it to a 1-point Detroit lead.
It'll make it even easier for the 76ers when Charles starts to assert himself a little bit more down that low post. Right now, he's just looking to kick out to the open teammates. Perhaps first quarter, letting them get involved, then he'll take over as we get down the stretch.
Woolridge. Orlando Woolridge off to the good start. He's hit 3 out of 4. Pistons 21 and the Sixers 18 with 40 seconds to go in the first quarter. And an offensive foul is called. Illegal pick set by Gilliam. Here comes Manute Bol replacing Armin Gilliam.
When you have a great shooter like a Hersey Hawkins, you're going to have max number of offensive fouls take place by setting screens, because you're trying to free that guy up just for a moment to get a good look at the basket. Good screeners are so important for good shooters to do their job.
Woolridge trying to dish it off. Anderson with the intercept. We're down to 15 seconds remaining in the quarter, and the Sixers will hold for a last shot.
Now the pressure's on Isaiah Thomas to keep the ball in front of him. Don't let Dawkins get in the lane where he either scores or finds an open teammate for a shot.
Dawkins and Rodman able to haul it down. Dennis Rodman with 11 rebounds in this first quarter. The Pistons with a 21-18 lead on the 76ers. Dennis Rodman, one of the most unique players in NBA history, in that all he wants to do is defend and rebound. And rebound he did, 11 off the boards in this opening quarter. The Pistons with the edge off the boards in the first quarter. Dennis Rodman with 11 of Detroit's 14 rebounds. He's averaging 18 rebounds per game to lead the league. Now, the last player to average over 18 rebounds per game, well, back in the 73-74 season, it was the Big E, Elvin Hayes, who did it as a member of the Bullets. 18.1 rebounds per game. Now, in the previous season, the all-time rebound leader, Wilt Chamberlain, pulled down 18.6 per game. There's Wilt. So this season, Dennis trying to join that exclusive club, and you're talking about a guy who is 6'8". Since 49-50, the first season that the league was called the NBA, only 4 rebounding leaders have been shorter than Dennis Rodman. Talking about Charles Barkley, goes around 6'5". Harry Gallatin, one-time New York Knick, at 6'6". Maurice Stokes, 6'7", and Wes Unseld, who was around 6'7". 2 others like Rodman stood 6'8". So what he is accomplishing is remarkable. Second quarter is underway, and the ball goes back to the Sixers. Dennis Rodman feels that he can haul down as many as 35 or 40 rebounds against some of the high-scoring teams. Isaiah off the steal, and here's Darrell Walker just checked in. Nice volleyball touch return from Rodman, and Woolridge has 8 points. Pistons looking sharp, lead by 5.
Transition game. Detroit sees today they can get out and run. It all starts with controlling the defensive boards, which they have done.
Rodman feels he can pull in 35 or 40 against some of the high-scoring ball clubs. Barkley was stopped. Pistons wanted to travel. They do not get the call. The officials say the ball was deflected. Here's Thomas. And it's Rodman again. Of course, a game like this where neither club is hitting improves the possibilities for Rodman. That's Bull rejecting Isaiah Thomas, who came up smiling. Dawkins for Hawkins.
Manute Bol is the kind of player, and Jimmy Lyman said it yesterday, he can affect 6 or 7 games when he comes on the floor by his mere presence. And you put him out there for 5 or 6 minutes, you see how it's going. If it's going well one particular night, you leave him out there.
Great reaction from Isaiah Thomas, who's struggling. He's 0 for 5. Look out as Barkley takes Rodman down.
Hey, get up! It might be tough to tell where the guy's coming from, but with Manute, I got a feeling you know that he's going to be around you. Isaiah on the ground smiling, but the fast break a result of the block shot for Philadelphia.
Hard foul offered up by Charles Barkley. That's his first personal. Pistons lead it 23-20. Now Dumars and Walker in the backcourt. Rodman up front with Sally and Aguirre. Mark Aguirre, who has been a forgotten man recently, is in the lineup. He has not played in 4 of the last 5 games. Bol called on the foul.
Mark Aguirre is not happy with his contract situation. Management extended Orlando Woolridge's contract. Aguirre figured that he had played such an important part in the World Championships, wondering why his contract was not extended. As a result, hung his head a little bit. His productivity went way down. Right now, shooting only 43% from the floor. And Chuck Daly When Aguirre went on the floor, Chuck would go to him. He put the ball in his hands, a la Vinnie Johnson, James Edwards. He knew he was his scoring guy, could get him 15 points in a quarter on a given night. When he put his head down, Chuck left him on the bench. He had to work his way back into it. Chuck said, to his credit, he's worked very hard.
John Sally giving the Pistons a 25-20 lead. Substitution for the 76ers. Greg Grant, 5'7", 3-year man from Trenton State, has come on for the first time. Anderson not able to hit. So Grant and Hawkins now in the backcourt. Bull, Anderson, and Barkley on the front line.
And Philadelphia has picked up a few backup point guards over the last couple of years. Scotty Brooks, Andre Turner, and now Greg Grant to do the job behind Dawkins.
Sally able to recapture. Aguirre. Pistons by 7.
Now keep an eye on Detroit. They see Aguirre make his first shot. If they go back to it again.
Biggest lead of the game. Detroit up 27-20. And the foul was called on Bull as he was seeking position, battling with Aguirre. Minute for the offensive foul.
You talk about matchups, but you have to be able to take advantage of the matchup. No question Minute has the size on Mark Aguirre, but if you throw it to him, can he catch it and score? That's what remains to be seen.
Timeout is called. We'll be back in a moment.
The NBA on NBC is brought to you by Ford and your Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately? By Schick Tracer. It traces every curve on your face. And by cold-filtered Miller Genuine Draft and Miller Genuine Draft Light, taking the country by storm.
Back at the Spectrum in Philadelphia. Detroit with a 7-point lead on the 76ers. There's Isaiah Thomas. For Isaiah last Sunday in Orlando, there were emotional moments when his good friend Magic Johnson was introduced to the All-Star crowd. We talked about
players,
it.
And we as probably the world wanted to do something to educate people about this disease that we're all going to have to live with and we're all going to have to deal with. So I just wanted to make them feel welcome. I just wanted to make them feel warm. I just wanted to make them feel like a job, you know? I wanted to make them feel like one of the guys.
To me, the presence that this gentleman has, Isaiah Thomas, his awareness, the total picture. At the end of the game, after Magic Johnson made the three-point shot, they passed the ball into Isaiah. He simply put it under his arm, walked down the floor at about 3 seconds to go and said, there will be no more shots in this game. This is the way it should end.
3 minutes into the second quarter, and the Pistons with a 7-point lead. Here's Aguirre.
Not exactly what Detroit wanted. They had the smaller guard on Dumars. They wanted to back him down. The problem is Aguirre stayed in the corner. Dumars wanted him to clear out of that left corner, so it was a one-on-one without any help.
Hawkins putting moves on Walker. Played him well. Look out. Walker in the collision.
It's not an easy night when you have first Joe Dumars guarding you and then Darryl Walker comes into play. Both very, very physical and very good defenders.
And Tommy Nunez with a holding foul.
And the reason that will be 2 shots is the ball is out of bounds. It was not being passed. Therefore, the foul takes place. The offensive player will go to the free throw line. Keep an eye on the hold there by Dumars, holding Grant as he comes off the screen by Barkley. The ball still in the hands of the out-of-bounds man. 2 free throws awarded.
Greg Grant has hit 14 of 16 from the foul line. He was originally a second-round pick of the Phoenix Suns. Played behind Kevin Johnson, averaged about 10 minutes a game. He was with the New York Knicks last season, with Charlotte earlier this year. And he has played well for the 76ers, providing a spark. Rodman able to get to it again.
John Sally with an unusual 18, 20-foot jumper.
Dennis Rodman, incredibly, has 15 rebounds, and we're early in the second. And Minute got a piece of it.
Sally had the open jumper, but because he had missed the last one, he thought twice about it. Minute got it.
Beautiful finger roll by Anderson. Pistons now lead by 3.
And now with Minute on the floor, the 76ers will go into their half-court trap. A 1-3-1, trying to get you to pass it around, use up some time, trying to get a hurried shot or a drive to the goal where Minute can affect the shot.
Walker finding the open man. Barkley with the rebound, and he was hit. It'll be a non-shooting foul.
Again, what Minute Ball does is he changes your team's offensive structure. Early in the game, Detroit very crisp in their execution, the passing, the ball movement. Suddenly, you go to a half-court trap. Minute's out there. It's not quite the same.
John Sally charged with the foul. Bill Laimbeer has replaced Sally. Darrell Walker sits down, and Isaiah Thomas comes on. Grant and Hawkins in the backcourt. Barkley, Anderson, and Cole are up front. Oh, Grant able to find Barkley. Sixers have reeled off 6 unanswered, and they trail by 1.
Why the substitution of Thomas back for Walker instead of in for Dumars? Because against the half-court trap, he needs his 2 best shooting guards on the floor. Walker shooting only 41%. Chuck Daly went with his starters.
Here is Thomas. Tipped home. Rodman with the tip, his 3rd field goal. He has 6. And Isaiah Thomas is 0 for this first half. He's missed all 6 of his field goal attempts. Pistons lead by 3. Barkley again drawing the double team. Anderson rebounded by Laimbeer. Laimbeer again presented with the open shot. Barkley with a 7th rebound and finds Hawkins. And he lost it. Pistons will get it back, but first the Sixers call for time. Pistons have a 3-point lead.
Welcome back to the Spectrum with the Pistons leading the 76ers by 3. The latest confectionery treat in the Detroit area is the Isaiah Bar. Peanuts and caramel slam dunked in milk chocolate. It's designed to be a fundraiser for schools and so on, and in fact has a stay-in-school message on the back. Isaiah said the biggest fun was sampling the 75 different combinations they tried before they found the one they wanted. Now this is not to be confused with the new Mike Fratello Czar Bar, which is a combination of milk chocolate and used telestrator parts all whipped together with a special hot air process.
Well captured, Tom. I should mention, sold where telestrators are available. Void where prohibited.
And you've already asked for a cut in the action, haven't you?
Oh, no question. The Czar Bar. Pistons with a 3-point lead. Aguirre is called for the travel. Detroit with a 10-2 advantage off the offensive boards. One of the weaknesses of the 76ers, offensive rebounding. They are last in that department.
Well, there's one guy that they count on to do it all. That's Dennis Rodman. But since Bol has been on the floor, Detroit 3 for 13. Their field goal percentage down to 34.
Anderson had the direction of that shot altered. It will be Sixer ball, though, with 10 on the 24.
Detroit making sure that Anderson puts it down with his left hand. They don't want him to dribble with his right hand. That's his strong hand. He's uncomfortable going left.
Now Barkley one-on-one. Here's the help. Laimbeer came over. Dawkins from deep. Isaiah Thomas and Joe Dumars in the backcourt. Dennis Rodman, Mark Aguirre, and Bill Laimbeer up front for the Detroit Pistons. Thomas and Isaiah is 0 for 7. Oh, what a play, and Aguirre able to hit.
With Bol out of there, the half-court trap is taken away. Detroit gets to go back to their normal half-court offense. That's where they're real tough. Okay, getting second shots, particularly when their guards are penetrating, making defensive players rotate.
Gilliam, not pretty off the dribble, but able to spin on Laimbeer, and Armin Gilliam has 8 points. Pistons 31, and the Sixers 28. Just under 5 minutes to go In this first half, Marv Albert with Mike Fratello and Tom Hammond from the Spectrum in Philadelphia. Will it count? No. A loose ball foul called on Rodman. That's his first.
Isaiah down the lane, causes havoc. It makes big people. That time he got two guys' attention, Barkley and Hawkins. As a result, lets the other Pistons continue to battle on the glass. And then again, Isaiah saves it. The quick pass to his teammate.
Jason Williams has returned, replacing Ron Anderson. Leads with a field goal for two. Wire almost picked it off. Gilliam, yes. Pistons 31 and the 76ers 30.
76ers changing their attack now. What they're doing is letting Charles Barkley be on the offside away from the basketball, going to Gilliam, and now if Gilliam doesn't score, they've got Charles to crash the offensive boards.
Gilliam over to help. They trapped Dumars into calling a 20-second timeout.
Joe Dumars knew he was in trouble, pinned up against the sideline. No immediate outlets. Joe calls for the timeout.
3:59 remaining in this first half, and the Pistons by one. They've led by as many as 7. With the timeout, we'll take this break.
This is Bob Costas in New York. Coming up on the Prudential Halftime Report, we'll revisit last Sunday's Magic show in Orlando. And we'll hear from the Pistons' Isaiah Thomas on Magic Johnson on the day that Magic's jersey will be retired in Los Angeles. Right now, let's head back to our personal version of Albertville, the broadcast location of Marv Albert.
Thank you so much, Bob. Nice to know that Bob recognizes these situations. Is it Albertville, Mike, or Albertville?
Albertville.
I see. As Bob and Quinn coming up at halftime. This is the first part of our NBA doubleheader. Detroit with a 1-point lead on Philadelphia. Just under 4 minutes remaining in the first half. It'll be the Celtics and the Lakers following Detroit and Philly. Woolridge fired the 3 with the shot clock running down.
And Detroit was prepared that time, coming out of the timeout, that Philly would go into a sudden half-court trap. That's what they did. Detroit had them spread out, but the shot clock caught up with them.
Barkley went behind the back, but Williams stopped. And they'll jump it up. Jason Williams tied up by John Sally. The Detroit Pistons have been looking for their missing offense throughout the season. They have shuffled their lineup on a number of occasions after getting off to a shaky start. It's been a team of spurts. Opened up at 4-1 and managed only 6 wins in 19 games. And followed that up by winning 12 out of 14.
Charles with a little behind-the-back pass after the isolation.
Thomas able to feed Sally. Won't count. Stepped out of bounds. So the Sixers get it back. And a 3:15 remaining in the second quarter. Here is Hawkins. And he hears it from the crowd. A couple of weeks ago, Tim Lynam felt that Hersey Hawkins was not asserting himself, and I thought the same of Johnny Dawkins, and both players did agree. Wants to see Hawkins take more shots, not that particular shot, perhaps. Isaiah Thomas with his first field goal. Pistons lead by 3.
Well, what can happen is a couple of things. A player can get caught up in watching another player take the majority of the shots. Perhaps if Barkley is trying to dominate the game, not that Charles has been. But players need reminders sometimes that, look, this is what we need you to do for this team to win.
And Dawkins with a pretty left-handed move. Now the Piston lead is 1. Second field goal for Dawkins. He has 4. Woolridge, Sally, and Rodman up front. Rodman and Gilliam off the board. Here's Barkley. So the 76ers take the lead, 34-33.
It's tough to be one of the best rebounders in the league. At the same time, get down at the beginning of the fast break, but Charles Barkley's one who can do it occasionally.
Foul committed by Hawkins.
His second. Team's first in the last 2 minutes.
Dumars will go to the line.
Joe Dumars shooting 2.
Joe Dumars is 2 for 2 from the line. Joe Dumars, an excellent free throw shooter. At one point last season, hit the 62 in a row, which is a Piston club record. And Detroit leads by 1. Just under 2 minutes remaining in this first half. Philadelphia 76ers have lost their last 2, both to the New Jersey Nets. Barkley battling his way and then changed his mind. Sixers had won 3 of their previous 4. And Woolridge with the save. Dumars lost his balance and then rejected by Gilliam. 3-on-1. Barkley, offensive foul.
Give Isaiah Thomas some credit right there. Not too many people will step up, stand in front of Charles Barkley when he's going full speed and take the charge, the offensive foul.
That's the second committed by Barkley.
Numbers right there, Philly's favor. Isaiah moves over, protects himself because he knows the freight train is coming. Charles not real happy about the call.
And a technical foul. A technical foul called on Barkley, who continued the discussion.
And the best thing for Charles right now is to move away. One of his teammates maybe help him out, get him away from Jake. He made his point, he made his statement. Jake made his point, hit him with the technical, move on.
Joe Dumars will shoot the technical. He is 4 for 4 from the foul line. Good crowd on hand here at the Spectrum, just short of a sellout. The 76ers will break ground this coming May for their new arena, which is being called Spectrum 2, located across the street from the present Spectrum. The new structure should be ready for the 1994-95 season.
And the big difference is the number of skyboxes, the revenue that will produce will really help the 76er franchise.
Shot clock at 3. Sally. And Barkley with the rebound. So Charles has 8 off the board. Philadelphia trailing by 2 as we wind down in the first half. And the foul against the Pistons.
Personal foul, John
Sally, his second. It has been a poor shooting first half. Now, whether this is because of the shooting being off or the good defensive play, always tough to make that assessment, but the Sixers at 35% and Detroit at about 32 from the field. Johnny Dawkins way off. Oh, it's rescued by Jason Williams. Deflected out by Sally.
One of those times with the shot clock being down, pull the ball back out, get it to the guards, let them run the show. Don't turn it over in that situation.
Crowd getting on. Chuck Daly. Chuck, a native of Keene, Pennsylvania, has Philadelphia roots after spending 6 years as head coach at Penn, winning 4 Ivy League titles. Also an assistant with the Sixers under Billy Cunningham. Jason Williams feeling the contact. And he'll go to the line with 6 seconds remaining in the half.
That time Detroit stepped up and trapped Dawkins as he beat Isaiah off the dribble. Now the rotation is up to Sally to get there, hold his ground. The foul called, Sally's arms extended out rather than keeping him in a straight plane above his body. That's why the free throw attempts.
Jason Williams only a 64% free throw shooter. Substitution Brad Sellers for John Sally, who just collected his 3rd.
What Jimmy Lynam is saying right now is if we're going to end this quarter and this half with Detroit scoring, it's going to be with an outside shot, a perimeter jumper Minute Bowl in the game. He'll protect the basket. There should be no drives for scores here.
Minute Bowl has replaced Armin Gilliam. A 22nd timeout has been called by Detroit. So Chuck Daly will plot out these final seconds. The game is now tied at 36. Coming up next, following the Sixers and the Pistons, game 2 of our NBA doubleheader, the Celtics and the Lakers from the Forum in LA. Reggie Lewis and his Boston Celtics going up against James Worthy and the LA Lakers. And at halftime, a very special moment when the Lakers retire Magic Johnson's number 32 jersey. That is next here on NBC.
First pass will try and be up the floor a little bit. Philly extends its defense, trying to use up a little more time on the clock, giving them just under 3 to make something happen.
That's a travel. Dumars tried to pull up, could not, and the Sixers get it back with 1 4/10 seconds remaining in the half. Rod Anderson off the bench will check in for his long-range possibilities.
The designated shooter coming in the game for Philadelphia. And when coaches use up timeouts, they expect that all the things you take for granted are going to happen. Dribbling, passing, catching, etc., that you're going to get a shot.
And here's Hawkins angling. Well, the Sixers got off a pretty good shot. That's the end of the first half here at the Spectrum in Philadelphia. Bob and Quinn coming up with the Sixers and the Pistons tied at 36. The big story in the first half, Dennis Rodman with 17 rebounds. We'll be back in a moment.
This is the Prudential Halftime Report, brought to you by Prudential. Come to the companies of the Prudential and build your future on the rock.
All right, halftime at the Spectrum. The Pistons and 76ers continue to struggle. The score tied at 36 all. You know, you look at Detroit coming off the losses against Milwaukee and Minnesota. They're only 15-10 at home this year, and normally they dominate people at the Palace. If the Sixers should lose this game, they'll be 24-27, and on Tuesday they start that 3-game trek through Texas. Things are not going well for either one of these clubs.
Well, definitely not going well, and what you look at is you lose your chance for playoff position, and though it's just after the All-Star break, that's what everybody starts to think about, and Detroit has been struggling, as we talked about it before, but if you don't play defense, you don't have a good chance to win. But neither one of them are shooting the ball very well. Philly is shooting at 35%, Detroit shooting at 32%. The only thing to really talk about as far as the game is concerned is Detroit has Dennis Rodman, and that's how they stay in the game, because he is such an active rebounder that he creates opportunities for you. You see right here, he just comes out of nowhere to make that tip, and you've got to have somebody on your team to create opportunities for you, and that's what he does.
17 boards, 8 of them offensive. His high for the year, a 32 rebound effort against Charlotte.
Well, I like the guy because you don't have to create offense for him, and I think that's important that he be a team player. But what they've really got to start doing is they've got to do a better job of keeping people away from the basket. And you know, Lambeer is really struggling for them. He's a guy that's thinking about doing some other things, and he hadn't been able to stick his jump shot.
The man you talked to on the pregame show, Isaiah Thomas, has just 3 points. He's 1 for 8. He had some soft corns removed from his feet in the last couple of days, and you know, when the dogs are barking, it's tough to play well.
A little tough to get it going, and I talked to Isaiah about that, and he couldn't figure out when he could take some time off and not play, so he decided to just try to play through it, and as you can tell, his production has gone down. He didn't play well against Minnesota, nor has he played well today.
Okay, now, the second half of our doubleheader has the Celtics against the Lakers. At halftime of that game, the Lakers will retire Magic Johnson's 32. And up next, we'll hear from the Pistons' Isaiah Thomas once more. He'll talk about Magic, and we'll take a look back to the All-Star game a week ago in Orlando. That's as we continue on the Prudential Halftime Report. Okay, the second game of our doubleheader today matches the Celtics and the Lakers at the Forum. At halftime, the Lakers retire Magic Johnson's number 32. It caps off a most interesting week that started with Magic playing in the NBA All-Star Game and winning the MVP there. Here's a look back at the Magic in Orlando.
whatever I've been through is just gone because now I'm playing ball. It's what I'm all about, you know. And you just get out there and you just do it. You just play. I would cherish this for the rest of my life. Whatever happens this day, this moment, I would cherish.
We're going to have two spokesmen on this team, okay?
I see that.
And you got just 2-1 right off the bat.
That's all right. I can handle it. I'm older. I can handle it.
You can hold it.
One of the greatest players of all time,
I enjoyed every hug and every high five that I received. And those are things that you take with you forever.
Don't squeeze me too tight now, dog.
Magic Johnson. Another great pass.
Dennis told me, I'm gonna guard you tough, and you're not gonna score on me, and I couldn't wait to post him up. Just being knocked around was my favorite, just being back in the action.
6-5. Three-pointer. Yes! Oh, my!
I'm in a dream right now, and I don't ever want to wake up, because for one day I got the NBA back in me for one day, and it was great.
Maybe you'll see me back, maybe you won't, but I'll remember all these good times this afternoon. I'd like to thank you for sharing this with me. Thank you.
Among Magic's many admirers in Orlando was the Pistons' Isaiah Thomas, and he talked with our Quinn Buckner about Magic Johnson's impact on the sport.
I think he's meant everything to the game. He's totally redefined the way the game of basketball is played today. Before he and Larry came into the league, the big emphasis was on scoring. People got more gratification out of scoring baskets than they did out of setting people up to score baskets. He and Larry more or less changed that with the way they would pass the basketball and set people up. And now you have a whole group of people who've come into the league who try to imitate that style, and consequently you got better basketball players now than you did previously because of the influence that they've had on the younger generation.
Had a special weekend just last weekend at the All-Star game. What was it like being out there playing with this guy, knowing that, you know, this is the last time? Remember, this guy hadn't played in 3 months, too.
Well, I knew he would play well because he hadn't played in 3 months, but he had been practicing for 3 months. He had been practicing for this day or for that day. So I knew he would come out and play well and be sharp. Now, if he had to go back-to-back and was still playing, the next week you'll probably see some stuff pop up where he wouldn't play too well or he'll get tired or whatever. But that day was all adrenaline for him, so he was going to play well. I never looked at it as it being like his last game or anything like that, because I don't know, and we don't know. I don't even think he knows.
Quinn, you didn't get a post-game comment. We had to get off the air. What were your impressions coming out of Orlando?
I was so excited. I mean, it was a thrill to watch this guy. And, you know, people talk about, you know, the statement, yeah, it was magic. It was very, very special to have been there to watch this guy play, because I played against him in the championship series twice. And I know the impact he had on those individual games, but I got a full understanding of his impact on the sport.
You know, no athlete deserves any honor his sport can bestow any more than Magic Johnson, ever. But today is a little bit awkward, because here's a guy who's going to play in the Olympics. There's still talk, how serious we don't know about. Maybe he could come back and play in the playoffs. This is kind of strange.
Well, I have to agree with you, it's kind of strange, but I think Magic is leaving the door open. And I've said this before, because if there becomes an opportunity for some kind of, quote, cure, you know, for lack of a better term, to help him be able to play, he wants to have that door open. But I think it's a difficult situation for Magic, for the Lakers, I think for everyone to retire the uniform, but it's something that you try to close the door.
They could have 2 retired numbers up in the rafters, Kareem and Magic, of guys who say there's a chance they could play again before the year is over.
Well, that's a thought, but I honestly don't think that Kareem is going to play. I really don't think that Irvin's going to try to play again in the NBA as well.
Okay, we got to get out of here. Up next, we'll return to Marv Albert and Mike Fratello at the Spectrum in Philly. Pistons and Sixers are tied. Second half action coming up right after these messages from your local station.
This has been the Prudential Halftime Report, brought to you by Prudential. Come to the companies of the Prudential and build your future on the rock.
Back in Philadelphia moments ago, Tom Hammond talked with Detroit Piston coach Chuck Daly.
Chucky helped the 76ers to lowest first half total of the season. You have to be pleased with your defense and the rebounding of Dennis Rodman. It's your offense that's a problem.
Well, I don't know that we held them. I think they held themselves back. One team shoots 34. We shoot 34. They shoot 31%. But when you out-rebound a club 31-19, shouldn't have more fast breaks. We didn't have nearly enough. We're looking to set up more than we are to run. We got to get out and run a little bit more.
All right, Tom, and that man has been running right throughout. Dennis Rodman went all 24 minutes in the first half. A look at the scoring rundown. Gilliam with 10 to lead the Sixers. Dumars with 9 to lead the Pistons. Johnny Dawkins and Hersey Hawkins in the backcourt. Jason Williams, Armin Gilliam, and Charles Barkley up front. Jason Williams drawing his second start of the season. Charles Shackelford has been benched to this point. Gilliam now has 12, and the Sixers lead by 2. Biggest lead for either club, a margin of 7. Detroit with a 27-20 advantage in the second quarter. Here's Lambier. And the game is tied at 38.
With Lambier shooting the way he has been this season, it makes it very difficult for Detroit to score points. He's one of the pieces that they've had for so many years, just not quite as effective this season.
Hawkins, he was met by Lambier and changed his shot. On the subject of changing shots, as we check out the halftime stat sheet here at the Spectrum, here's a new statistic for you. Isaiah Thomas with only his second field goal, and the Pistons lead 40-38. At the bottom of the sheet, it says minute bowl intimidations. He had 4 in the first half, along with 2 blocked shots.
Probably another category designed by Harvey Pollack, maybe stat wonder man here for so many years.
Williams, oh, what a move by Jason Williams. That's his second field goal. He has 6, and the game is tied at 40. That bold intimidation stat line reminiscent of Patrick Ewing's days at Georgetown, where they kept stats on altered shots by Ewing. And the 24-second clock is at 5. Woolridge able to beat Barkley off the dribble.
You stay with him for one step, but it's the second, the long stride where he turns the corner and gets to the front of the rim. You have to stay down and move your feet. Keep the ball in front of you.
Pistons lead it by 2. Isaiah Thomas wanted the tie-up, but he committed the foul, his second. And Johnny Dawkins will go to the line.
And Philly has made a real strong effort to come out in the beginning of the second half and get the ball inside close to the basket. Armand Gilliam with the post-up move. Jason Williams, the drive to the basket by Dawkins.
Sixers are 9 for 9 from the foul line. Johnny Dawkins has made it back from reconstructive knee surgery. Played only 4 games last season. Only he and Hersey Hawkins have started every game for the Sixers this year. Johnny Dawkins coming off a sprained neck this past Tuesday in the game at Miami. Wore a brace for a while, but he's okay. Woolridge. He's hitting from inside and outside.
That's a good rim down in front of Detroit's bench. They're getting a good bounce on that one.
Very friendly rim. Pistons lead it by 2. Gilliam looking for the one-on-one move. Lambier able to keep him away. And will not count. Offensive interference on Jason Williams.
The question was the ball either in the cylinder or on the rim when it was touched on the follow-up attempt. Gilliam trying to shoot it over the top of an outstretched Bill Lambier in the cylinder, or the hand coming up through the net is why it's called.
Pistons have hit their first 4 from the field in this third quarter. Make it 5 out of 5. So they have caught fire for the first time this afternoon. And Detroit leads by 4.
Again, the post-up game of the 76ers. Go inside, go strong.
Barkley drawing the double team. Try to set up Williams.
Once Charles gets it down low, the quick double team by Detroit. Problem, you let Charles split the double team, it's not as effective as it's supposed to be.
Aguirre stepping out to set the pick on Dawkins. Good switch by Barkley. Now Woolridge. And it will be 76er ball.
Excellent job that time of Bill Laimbeer reading the weak side. They had a 2-on-1. Dumars and Woolridge against one defender. Laimbeer found the open man down low, just didn't convert.
Last season, the Sixers finished at 44-38, second in the Atlantic, behind Boston. Holding foul called on Dumars. In the playoffs, the Sixers beat Milwaukee, and then they lost to Chicago 4-1. And here they are, 2 games under 500. Last season, after 50 games, they were 2 games above 500 at 26-24. They were going well prior to the home-and-home against the New Jersey Nets. This is a limited ball club. Charles Barkley telling us yesterday we just don't have enough. And it starts with the fact that the center position is weak.
Well, when you look at the starting unit, they have limitations. Okay, don't have the same firepower as other starting fives. And then the bench is not a real deep bench.
Barkley, he was stripped on the play, but a foul is called. It's a hold on the Pistons.
There's one of those examples of Barkley being on the offside or away from where the shot is taken. He sneaks along the baseline, moves inside of Rodman, gets the position after actually working from the baseline back in. You need to keep him behind the backboard if you can. Easier said than done.
Again, Gilliam backing. Fouled by Laimbeer. I guess he didn't agree with that call.
Is there any question that Jim Lynam at halftime told his team, we have to go inside, we have to put some fouls on him, we have to get to the free throw line. Working his way down as low as possible, drawing a double and even triple team. Still, he's going to get that shot up. He's determined.
Armin Gilliam in his 5th season out of Nevada, Las Vegas. And that is the first free throw miss by the 76ers. They hit their first 10. Philadelphia acquired Gilliam last year from Charlotte, along with Dave Hoppin in the deal for Mike Jaminski. Gilliam, originally a #1 pick of Phoenix back in '87. He was the 2nd selection overall. Woolridge. 14 for Orlando Woolridge. Pistons with a 48-42 lead.
Isaiah may not be shooting it well, but he's running the show. He's finding his open teammates, making it happen for the Pistons.
7:34 remaining in the third, and the Sixers take a timeout.
The NBA on NBC is brought to you by Toyota, reminding you to always buckle up. Do it for those who love you. By Pennzoil, the motor oil that outperforms any leading motor oil against viscosity breakdown. And by ITT Corporation, building people's dreams.
Welcome back to the Spectrum in Philadelphia. Dennis Rodman burning it up off the boards once again. He now has 20 rebounds for the game. He had 18 at halftime. He has amazing instincts to get to the ball, a subject that we discussed with Dennis.
It's like you're looking at something and you can imagine where it's going to go, you know. It's like you see a ball shot and it's going to the rim. It's just the same with me. I look at a ball when it's shot from someone's hands. I'm looking at it, I know it's going to go in, and I know it's going to come off some way. So I position myself underneath the basket or maybe on the side of the basket and try to get a rebound that way.
His career high 32 against Charlotte. He had 27 against Minnesota earlier in the season. The Piston club record for rebounds in one half, 21 by Bailey Howell. That was back in November of 1960. It'll be Detroit ball. the Piston record for most rebounds in a game, 33 by Bob Lanier back in December of '72. So Rodman with 20 at this moment. He has gone the distance, played all the way. As he was telling us yesterday, Lambier, he's found the touch. Bill Lambier now has 8 points after games, and he's averaging, what, 42, 43 minutes a game. He hits the exercise bike for 15, 20 minutes.
The man just loves the pain, the agony of working on his body.
8-0 run by the Pistons, and they have their biggest lead of the game. Shot clock at 1. Hawkins stopped, and it's a 24-second violation. 6.5 remaining in this third quarter. The Pistons 50 and the Sixers 42. Detroit picking up the shooting here in the third. Lambier and Barkley on the rebound. It has been a very low-key performance to this point for Charles Barkley. Rodman tears it down.
Perhaps the frustration that he had talked about earlier, once again setting in. When you play against Detroit, you know you're in for a hard afternoon or evening.
Woolridge. And Detroit extends to a 10-point lead. Charles Barkley only 3 for 8, 6 points, 9 rebounds. Percy Hawkins has 8 points. Sixers down by 8. Thomas and Dumars in the backcourt. Lambier, Rodman, and Woolridge up front. Thomas rejected by Gilliam, and it will be Detroit ball with 6 on the 24.
6 seconds on the 24-second clock.
Isaiah Thomas says, Tom Hammond mentioned at the start of the game, playing with the sore feet, but he has gone most of the way. Shot clock running down. And Lambier flings it. It'll be a 24-second violation.
That's one of those times where with 2 seconds left on the 24-second clock, not much you can do. Watch here as Barkley has the ball. Lambier comes over, double team. There's no split this time, as there had been on previous occasions.
Hawkins backing Dumars. Yes. And Hersey Hawkins cuts it to a 6-point Piston lead. The Detroit Pistons at 28 and 22. They are third in the Central. Nice play from behind by Gilliam. Rodman kept it alive. Here comes Hawkins. Good luck. And Barkley brings Philadelphia within 4.
The court was spread. Detroit's defense out of position in transition. The good look underneath.
Mention the Piston difficulties at home. They have already lost 10 games at the Palace, but they've been a pretty good road club. 13 and 12 on the road. They won 8 of the last 12 away from Detroit. And Barkley claiming that it was deflected out by Rodman, but he lost the dribble.
One of the things that will help you score if you get some transition baskets against Detroit before they get back, when you have numbers on them, find the open people, take the easy deuce.
Here's Isaiah.
Isaiah Thomas.
Only his third field goal. He's 3 of 11, 7 points for Thomas. Pistons 54 and the 76ers 48. Low scoring ball game at the Spectrum in the city of brotherly love. Once again, that shot clock working down. 5 on the 24. Hawkins. Gilliam with the rebound. Gilliam with the driving hook.
The first shot was not the kind of shot that Hersey Hawkins wanted to take. Joe Dumars was very, very physical with him. It was just the extra effort that time by the 76ers to enable the basket.
That was one from his days as a member of the Running Rebels. Woolridge given the open shot.
Orlando Woolridge.
18 points for Orlando Woolridge. He's the high man of the game. The Pistons 56 and the 76ers 50. Gilliam had it poked away. Dawkins try to feed Barkley. Here's Anderson for three. Oh, good play by Barkley to keep it away from Rodman.
Rodman almost had it in his hands. Barkley got that tip of the finger in there to set it free.
Barkley stopped by the double team. Anderson for Gilliam, stripped.
Bill Aguirre made 2 defensive plays that time to stop the score.
And the foul is called. We have seen some excellent defensive play at both ends. Timeout taken with 2:37 remaining in the third. All right, 2:37 remaining in the third quarter. Detroit leading Philadelphia by the score of 56-50. Not so subtle humor here being performed by Big Shot, the Philadelphia mascot, pulling one out of the pages of the blindfolded Cedric Ceballos, but Big Shot not able to convert.
He didn't get quite the same look as Cedric did at the rim.
Pistons have certainly picked it up. In the third, they came out hitting their first 5. They're 10 for 16 from the field. Sixers 6 for 11. Charles Barkley showing some signs here in the third quarter. He's had a quiet game. Orlando Woolridge to the line for the first time. Orlando with 18 points. Quiet from the Denver Nuggets. For Scott Hastings and a future second-round draft pick. Last year with Denver, missed 22 games with a detached retina in the right eye, but averaged 25 points in the 53 games he played.
We saw Orlando about 2 or 3 weeks ago have a great first 30 minutes against Boston and suddenly disappear for the remainder of the game. So it'll be very important that he continue this productivity for Detroit.
And Detroit showing some pressure. Pistons now lead by 7 as we wind down in the third. Anderson from Barkley. It is Detroit 57 and Philadelphia 52. Second meeting of the season between these two clubs. 2 more matchups coming up. Thomas. A pretty move by Isaiah going to the finger roll and extends to a 7-point Piston lead.
And that's what drives coaches crazy. It's not like you don't know Detroit's going to play pick and roll from the top of the circle.
Ron Anderson able to bury the jumper. Pistons 59 and the Sixers 54. Marv Albert, Mike Fratello, and Tom Hammond from Philadelphia. First of an NBA doubleheader, the Celtics and the Lakers to follow. And it's Dennis Rodman with rebound number 23.
That was up over the top of Armand Gilliam.
Oh, he solidly beat Gilliam.
And you can't do it much better than that. Get complete ball reversal, and then when the defense runs at you, don't stop and just shoot jumpers. Put it on the floor, take it to the basket.
Pistons by 7. Pistons crushing the Sixers off the offensive board. And Hawkins was hacked.
At the other end of the floor for Detroit, Isaiah loves to play pick and roll at the top of the circle with Bill Laimbeer, his main man, setting the screen because he is a terrific screener. He gets his man. And then after the ball reversal, don't stop, catch, and shoot. Put it on the floor and take it to the rim.
Laimbeer called for the foul, putting Hawkins at the line. Hersey is 2 for 2 from the foul line.
Hersey Hawkins has another.
Hersey Hawkins, an 87% free throw shooter.
And now with Manute Bol back in the game for Philadelphia on the make, they will go into their half-court trap, the 1-3-1, to see if they can get Detroit out of their rhythm, their half-court offense that Detroit has just executed so well the last 2 times down the floor. Here's the trap, 1-3-1.
And the 7'7" Manute Bol was a factor in the first half. The double team on Laimbeer. Woolridge with a very friendly rim. And And the Pistons lead 63-55. Orlando Woolridge has 23 points. 40 seconds remaining in the third. Barkley comes back to Barkley. Sixers down by 6. And the Pistons are playing the clock. 10 on the 24. 4-second differential with the play clock. Rodman lost it. Jake O'Donnell checking if it was deflected. Yes, it was. Jake looking for help, and Terry Durham was right on the case. 2 on the shot clock. 6 seconds to go in the quarter. Thomas. Final seconds. And here's Barkley getting it off. Yes! Charles Barkley from downtown in desperation. And he brings the 76ers within 3, very close to a travel. Watch this.
They are going to change this call, saying that the ball was still in Charles's hand. When the red light went on, they're taking that basket away.
So they have erased the 3. It is back to a 6-point Detroit lead.
This copyrighted telecast of the National Basketball Association may not be retransmitted, reproduced, or rebroadcast without the express written consent of the NBA.
Just before the end of the third quarter, the controversial shot by Charles Barkley. First it was called good, then taken away. If the ball is in his hand when the clock goes to 00, then it's no good. There's the zeros all the way across the board. The ball's still in his hand. The official signals that, yes, one arm up means it was a 3-point attempt, but then after conferring with his other official, they wipe it out. Barkley says, nice job calling that 3. It was out of my hand in time. Unfortunately, it wasn't, Charles.
Looked to be a good call. So, as we head to the fourth quarter, the Pistons with a 63-57 lead on the 76ers. And Detroit opens with Dumars and Thomas in the backcourt, Woolridge, Rodman, and Laimbeer up front. Laimbeer and the Pistons lead by 8. Bill Laimbeer has come on in the second half. He now has 10 points, 8 of the 10 in the second half.
That whole thing was set up by Isaiah Thomas, driving the lane, taking it right at Minute, making Minute come to him. Then he kicked it out to wide open Laimbeer.
Dennis Rodman complaining about that dribble by Barkley as Dawkins hammers it home. He has 8. Rodman wanted a discontinue, and he was correct.
Well, the ball was being dribbled, was picked up in the one hand, held for a second, and then continued to dribble. A slow release on the dribble.
Woolridge, it counts, and the foul.
There aren't too many times that you get away with putting the ball up, bringing it down, changing the angle on it, and getting it around Manute Bol. Most times you have to take it and dunk it on him, but Woolridge this time does it. Brings it around, draws contact, and converts.
Manute called for his 3rd. Orlando Woolridge having a sensational afternoon. He's 1 out of 2 from the line. He is gunning for his 26th point. And Bol on the rebound. Pistons lead 67-59. They have led by as many as 10. Here's Bol. Well, the opposition often does not pay any attention at all to Bol at the offensive end, but that time they completely decided to let him go, and he hit the stuff.
Well, you can carry things to an extreme, and that was one of them.
Woolridge, that shot was altered by Bol, and Barkley and Rodman will jump it up.
And we would call that a nice save by Charles. The ball was in Dennis's hands. Charles recovered, got his hands on it, pulled it away. The effort from behind the backboard by Rodman. Barkley's got him there, then he doesn't, and then he takes it back.
And And Barkley slapped it down. Oh, good save by Hawkins. He had Dawkins behind him, but instead went 1-on-2. Look out, almost to backcourt.
But not.
Rodman checking with the official Tommy Nunez, who ruled that Rodman was in front court. Shot clock at 5.
Beautiful job of interior passing that time. Once you break down that double team, rotate the ball, then you have the defense 2-on-1. The Pistons do exactly what they wanted to do.
Detroit leads 69-61. Oh, behind the back from Barkley to Anderson. It has not been an explosive game offensively for Charles, but he's doing a lot of other nice things.
Well, you live with Woolridge producing at the offensive end, but then you also have to live with the fact that at the defensive end, he does make a few mistakes. That time leaving the cutter wide open to go double team Barkley, who was too far away from the basket.
There's Woolridge. Well, Barkley gambled on an overplay, and it cost.
I think those two guys have an agreement right now between them, Barkley and Woolridge.
Charles Barkley has 7 assists and 14 rebounds. Barkley with a spin and the bucket.
You cannot let Charles Barkley start one way to the middle of the floor and then suddenly reverse you and allow him to go baseline, because then your teammates don't know where to come and double team from.
Detroit with a 6-point lead. Here's Thomas. And tipped home by Woolridge. Jim Lynam very upset, wanting offensive interference call, but the basket is good, and Orlando Woolridge has 29. Anderson, yes. Pistons 73 and the 76ers 67.
Ron Anderson decided, look, they've been doing such a good job of taking my right hand away, so I can't dribble that way. Maybe I'll just try catch and shoot for a change.
Aguirre, yes.
By using Manute Bol's man to set the screens on the pick and roll, Manute has to step out and help stop Isaiah, and allows Bill Aguirre to step back, no one to play him.
Anderson lost the dribble.
Again going to his left hand.
And good hands by Hawkins to break up that fast break attempt. A timeout has been called with 8:04 remaining in the third.
There's the matchup, Rodman versus Barkley, but when Woolridge double teams, he leaves Anderson wide open for the behind-the-back pass. If he starts middle and you allow him to change, there's no one there to help on the double team.
The NBA on NBC is brought to you by Jeep and Eagle, a division of the Chrysler Corporation, proud sponsor of the 1992 U.S. Olympic team. By Right Guard Sports Stick, anything less would be uncivilized. And by Miller Lite, the great beer that's less filling. It's it, and that's that.
As we discussed earlier, there have been many trade rumors this season involving Charles Barkley. And I asked Charles if the trade rumors bother him.
When I wake up in the morning, one of the top 10 things on my list is not where I'm going to play basketball at. I've enjoyed my 8 years here, and I want to finish my career here, but where I play basketball is not like a great concern. I mean, there are a lot more important things in my life than what uniform I put on. Well, if I go, I'm going to play hard for the next few years. If I stay here, I'm going to play hard for the next few years. But that stuff doesn't bother me.
Do you want to be traded?
No.
It's something that every player must deal with during his career. There will be rumors out there, stories out there. Some of the greatest have been moved. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, pretty good example.
Jim Lynam telling us yesterday that, no question, the speculation about Charles being moved has affected him. The latest deal, as reported by Pete Vesey on Showtime prior to the game, the latest trade rumor involving the LA Clippers that has been bandied about recently as Isaiah attempts the three, and Lambeer lost it. The deal involving Charles Smith, Ken Norman, a couple of number ones, and according to Pete, it's in the hands of Larry Brown, who is deciding, could he deal with Charles Barkley? Could he?
Well, reportedly, one of the things besides a pretty hefty check that Larry Brown got was the power to control personnel.
Dawkins hitting the three-pointer. He has 11, and the Pistons now lead lead at 75-70. Do you like the deal from the Clipper point of view?
I like the deal for both teams.
Right off the steal. Dawkins pulls it up. Hawkins from downtown. We're down to 7 minutes remaining in the fourth quarter. Good finish following the poor shooting first half. Both clubs shooting in the low 30s. They picked it up in the second half. The high point man, Orlando Woolridge, with 29. Dumars able to save it. We're down to 5 on the shot clock. Armin Gilliam leading Philadelphia with only 14 points. Dumars getting in. And back come the Sixers. Anderson met by Rodman. Barkley now being guarded by Lambier. Dawkins able to save it. And Jason Williams couldn't handle that pass.
In a hurry, sometimes you take your eye off the ball. That's what happens.
Well, the Pistons with a 5-point lead, 6:24 remaining in the fourth quarter. Mike, one of your heroes, Chubby Checker, native of this area, who twisted his way to national prominence. Chubby's so excited to drop by our broadcast location before the game. He had one major disappointment, though. He said he was hoping to see his favorite NBA color commentator, Steve Jones. Shot clock down at 5. Here's Dumars. And the Pistons lead by 7.
Perhaps one of the toughest things in the NBA to do. Get a shot off with the clock running down when the defender is right up tight against you. Dumars, good job.
Here's Jason Williams. And Jake O'Donnell indicates Detroit ball.
The clock running down, everybody's digging in defensively. You must create. You must get somehow a way to the basket. Joe Dumars does it.
That last rebound was number 24 for Dennis Rodman. Tripping foul call on Dawkins. In the first half, Rodman had 18 rebounds. He's had only 6 in the second half. He has gone all the way. You mentioned earlier, you questioned, will he be fatigued in the second half? Is that the situation?
Well, 18 in the first half, 5 in the third quarter, and just got his first one now in the fourth quarter. The minutes build up, the energy level has to drop eventually.
Now Barkley jumping out on Thomas.
Isolation now, one-on-one, Isaiah against Barkley.
And the reach-in charge to Barkley. That's his third foul.
His third, the 3 on the team.
5:15 remaining in the fourth quarter. Well, that's one you don't see too often.
You cannot assume the small things. When it happens, eventually it catches up to you.
Break for the Sixers, trailing by 7. Dawkins and Hawkins at the guards. Anderson, Williams, Barkley up front. Sally got a piece of it. Here's Barkley. Yes. And Philadelphia is down by 5.
And after Charles hit that short jump, he kind of shook his head as if to say, look, I know I have to make a couple of these to get him to come out and play me. He knocked that one down.
14 points for Barkley. Also has 14 rebounds and 7 assists. Woolridge getting position again, and foul.
Little conversation, dialogue between Anderson and Hawkins, deciding how they're going to play that particular cut. On the weak side, away from the ball, a little back pick that time. Guard on forward. You need a little help down there. Ron Anderson, this half, playing a more comfortable position, the small forward spot. Jimmy Lynam saying, I need a little more offense out on the floor. I'm going to leave my 2 guards, play him at small forward, play Barkley at big forward.
Well, Orlando Woolridge, 14 for 19 from the field, is only 1 out of 4 from the foul line.
Orlando Woolridge only shooting 68% from the free throw line this season.
It's the Pistons 78 and the Sixers 72. First first of our NBA doubleheader here on NBC. Dick Enberg, Steve Jones, Ahmad Rashad will bring you the Lakers and the Celtics from the Forum in L.A. that is coming up following Detroit and Philly. Isaiah Thomas called for his third. Remember, at halftime, a special moment, the Lakers retiring the number 32 of Magic Johnson.
Isaiah, knowing that the 76ers wanted to reverse the ball back around to the weak side, off side of the floor, tried to deny the ball reversal pass, called for the aggressive play.
Sixers swinging the ball well. Anderson, and tipped home by Barkley.
One of the few times that Anderson has been able to drive the ball to his right hand. It came as a result of ball reversal and the Pistons trying to rotate out to him.
The Detroit lead is 4. 4 minutes remaining in the fourth. Lakers drive by Isaiah Thomas. Isaiah has not shot well. He's 5 for 16 for 11 points. The Pistons lead 80-74. Barkley getting it inside, and Williams was pounded.
Keep the dribble alive. You hear coaches saying it all the time. There's the switch out by Barkley. Now, if you keep it alive, you'll eventually be able to turn the corner on an opponent who obviously is not as quick.
Woolridge called for his second. Jason Williams still wearing the protection on the left hand. He was out with that broken left hand. He says suffered in a game against the Chicago Bulls. Others say suffered during an altercation in a bar.
Well, it was an altercation in a bar in Chicago.
Right.
Maybe with a bull or two in the place. Who knows?
I buy it. Pistons 80 and the 76ers 75. Down to 3:40 remaining in the fourth. Both clubs trying to end two-game losing streaks. Orlando Woolridge has 32.
If you have to play him one-on-one, as Anderson did that time, you want to give up the outside jumper first. Don't let him beat you off the dribble. He's making the jump shot this afternoon.
Here is Anderson. Jason Williams lost it. Here's Barkley. And Charles will go to the line.
On the first rebound that Jason Williams got, if he goes right back up without the dribble, he gets a clean dunk. By putting it on the floor, he allowed Isaiah to knock it free.
Barkley going to the line for only the first time.
Go up right away. Don't put it down. When you put it down, those little guards get their hands in there, as Isaiah did again on Barkley.
And as you mentioned earlier, his free throw shooting efficiency has dropped off. This year, he is at a shade under 70%.
His second season in the NBA, people fouled Barkley on purpose. He had a very poor year, shot mid-60s from the foul line. He really worked on it. He understood that the frustration level would get cut down if he went there and made his free throws. Got it up to where his career average is just around 74%. This year, though, back under 70.
So that was the Atlanta Hawk philosophy against Charles Barkley.
Yes, we did foul him a few times.
Pistons 82 and the Sixers 77. Gilliam jumping out on a switch. Here is Woolridge. Make it 34 for Woolridge. That is a season high for Orlando. His career high, 44 points. Detroit by 7 with 2:40 remaining in the fourth. Gilliam. Gilliam off the double team, gets it back out. Dawkins. And Lane Beer on the rebound. Timeout taken by the Pistons with 2 minutes 16 seconds remaining in the fourth. The Detroit Pistons have been sparked by the combination of Dennis Rodman, 20 34 rebounds in all for Rodman. Orlando Woolridge with a season high of 34 points.
I'd say that's a perfect understanding of what your respective roles are. One guy's a scorer. He did his thing today. The other guy's the best rebounder in the league, and he has done his thing.
Rodman set a career high against Charlotte, pulling down 32 rebounds a couple of weeks back. Shot clock is at 7. We approach 2 minutes remaining in the fourth quarter. Thomas for 3. And it's snatched by Dawkins. Sixers with the ball trailing by 7. And the foul called on Isaiah Thomas.
And that time what threw Bill Laimbeer off a little bit was previously they were trapping Isaiah coming off the screen and pre-rotating. In other words, gambling ahead of time and getting to Laimbeer so he wouldn't be open. That time they did not pre-rotate. He was wide open but didn't even look at the rim initially.
5th foul on Isaiah Thomas. Both teams have 3 timeouts remaining, plus their 20. Barkley. There's no harm, no foul calls. Rodman trying to draw Hawkins. Aiming from downtown, and Rodman on the rebound.
Chuck Daly taking Isaiah out, putting Walker in, understanding that as long as we keep the 7-point advantage, Isaiah stays on the bench. If it gets close, he goes back in. I need him on the floor at the end.
Dumars. Shot clock at 5. Down to 3. And rebounded by Gilliam.
76ers need a quick push-in score right now so they can get into their defense and make something happen. They can't use up too much time.
Barkley for the foul. Called on Rodman, his 3rd.
That's at least the 3rd or 4th time that Orlando Woolridge has come over to double-team Charles Barkley, and he doesn't close it. He allows Barkley to step through and get a shot off. If you double-team the way Laimbeer did, he gets no shot attempt. If you keep it open, he steps through. He's so strong.
Detroit is now over the foul limit. Sixers with 4 team fouls.
Isaiah Thomas returns for Darryl Walker for the Pistons.
Isaiah Thomas back, replacing Darryl Walker. Barkley has 18 points, or rather 19 points, 16 rebounds, 7 assists.
So what you see is offense, defense right now. A dead ball situation, a chance to get Thomas back on the floor for offense. He's in the game, Walker's out.
And Chuck Daly calling for the timeout with 1:05 remaining. In the fourth quarter, the Pistons have a 5-point lead.
Tom Hammond back at the Spectrum with 1:05 left, and the Pistons up 84-79. 76ers talked about defense and offense in the timeout. They talked about trapping the high pick and roll that's hurt them. They asked Hawkins and Barkley to get them some points offensively. And as far as the Pistons are concerned, they talked about working the clock and getting a good shot. Marv?
All right, Tom, and we just overheard Charles Barkley screaming in the direction of the officials that 3-pointer that you took away at the end of the half is going to come back to haunt.
Detroit electing to take the ball in the half-court area rather than use the entire backcourt to get it in. There's the quick foul. 76ers don't want to use up any more time off the game clock.
Hawkins called for the foul. That's his 4th. Sixers have 3 and a 20 in the timeout department. Detroit with 2 and a 20. Both clubs are now over the foul limit. And Joe Dumars to the line. He is 5 for 5 from the line.
86% free throw shooter for the season.
The shooting picking up in the second half. Neither club shot well in the first half. It was 36 all at halftime. And now the Pistons lead 86-79. Once again, the Sixers looking for a quick score. Barkley putting the move on Rodman. Yes. 86-81. Detroit, 52 seconds to go. Detroit obviously wants Dumars to handle the ball. They'd like to see him at the line.
Well, you try to go for the steal in the backcourt. Once he gets over the half-court line, you got to go after it and get him.
Well, the call is it was deflected by the Sixers. Now Barkley gives the foul.
I think the 76ers realized that as soon as it got over the 10-second line, they wanted to foul immediately. Instead, the deflection takes place. They're all running after it, saying, hey, maybe we got a steal going on. More time goes off the clock. Right there, they wanted to foul. No whistle, loose ball, the scramble, more time off the clock.
Aguirre to the line for the first time.
And you talk about good free throw shooters. This guy is shooting 88% from the free throw line. Bill Laimbeer.
Bill Aguirre is saying about 10 days ago that he recognizes he naturally can't do what he used to do. He says his body has suffered. Said it broke down. He's never been as tired as he was in recent time. Tired may be a bad word. He said physically worn down. Might capture it better. But he's come on strong here in the second half. We'll be right back. Well, back at the Spectrum, today's Miller Genuine Draft play of the game. Orlando Woolridge with one of his many good moves. Finished 16 for 21 for 34 points. He is the high man. In recognition, Miller Genuine Draft will donate $1,000 to the Thurgood Marshall Scholarship Fund.
8 points at the half, explodes here in the second half for 26 more points. Exactly what Detroit's struggling offense needed.
38 seconds remaining in this fourth quarter. So Woolridge leading Detroit with 34, 13 for Dumars. Thomas with only 11. Charles Barkley with 22. Armin Gilliam with 14, 11 apiece for Dawkins and Hawkins. Rodman has 25 rebounds at 18 at the half. And Dumars able to deflect.
And Detroit will get up and try to take away that three-point shot attempt. Hawkins leading the 76ers with 131. The next guy on the team, Charles Barkley, and then Ron Anderson. Those are the main threats.
76ers taking a 22nd timeout, so they now have 2 timeouts remaining with 37 and 8/10 seconds to go in the fourth. Check of the NBA scoreboard at the half. Orlando in front of Milwaukee, 55-42.
Make it happen. Then you two, Charlie, and I'm going to go boxes. Johnny,
Charlotte with the big lead over at Miami.
Jimmy Lynam took that 22nd timeout to diagram how Detroit was defending the play. Now he'll come with a different set, look for something a little bit different to try and get the shot attempt up.
It is a 7-point Piston lead. And they just do get it inbound.
Good job by Woolridge on the ball. He didn't give it a clear look.
Oh, what a play by Woolridge on the rejection. Dawkins gets it back. Anderson for 3. Rebound Barkley. Pistons now lead by 5, 21 seconds remaining. And once again, Dumars is fouled.
Well, you have 3 pretty good guys in the backcourt between Dumars, Isaiah, and Laimbeer that if the first pass comes into them, they make most of their free throws. Woolridge, after doing a good job on the pass inbounds by putting pressure, comes right back to take away the what looked like certain score by Gilliam. The elevation, the timing, the reject, and happens to get it right back to the middle of the floor where Isaiah almost came up with it.
Second block for Orlando Woolridge to add to a very good-looking stat line. Dumars 7 for 7 from the line. And the Pistons now lead 89-83. Detroit Pistons will be back home on Tuesday for Orlando, and then a 3-game road trip. New Jersey, Orlando, and Miami. Philadelphia takes a timeout. The Philadelphia 76ers will be at Dallas on Tuesday, start of the tour of Texas. And, well, the Detroit Pistons, who are not always delighted to see this particular broadcast crew because, Mike, you've killed it.
Well, I just want to say that 0 for 12, I think, is you. I was not there for one of those games. My daughter's graduation, if you
remember. Yes, I recall.
So I was only 0 for 11, right?
I told you, don't touch me more on
Very sensitive.
Very embarrassing. Cotton Fitzsimmons did sub for you.
Cotton's going to get one of those losses.
Yes, that was the finale between Detroit and Chicago at Auburn Hills. But it looks like the streak will conclude.
It would be silly for a coach to be superstitious and believe that we had any effect on the outcome of the game.
So why isn't Chuck Daly talking with us?
He won't go to dinner with us anymore. I don't know what it is.
All right, we are down to 19 seconds remaining in the fourth quarter. And the Pistons lead the 76ers 90-83. And the Sixers dying down the stretch, only 4 for 15 from the floor, going up against the #1 defensive team of the NBA, Detroit. #1 of that department, allowing only 97 points per game.
I saw the players smiling in the Detroit huddle, and I think Chuck had just written on his little board 1-12. Yeah.
Chuck Daly, in his 9th year as the Piston coach, decided to return for one more season at least. And of course, we'll be handling the U.S. Olympic men's basketball team in Barcelona.
The longest tenure with one team in the NBA, 9 straight seasons with the Pistons. Just a magnificent job of dealing with a very complex group of individuals, very talented, but unique personalities, and trying to blend and mesh them. Probably the only guy that could do as good a job, Chuck Daly.
Yes, coached them to back-to-back championships. Rodman with rebound number 26 as time has run out. And the Detroit Pistons have defeated the Philadelphia 76ers by the score of 90-83. So the Pistons now 29 and 22. And the Sixers drop to 24 and 27. And Detroit ends the 2-game losing streak. The High Point men, Orlando Woolridge with 34. Joe Dumars with 15. Charles Barkley came on in the second half. He finished with 24. Armin Gilliam had 14. And again, the rebound total for Dennis Rodman, 26 off the boards for the NBA's leading rebounder. Thanks to our producer, John McGinnis, director John Gonzalez, and our statistician, Mr. Stats, Elliot Cow. Marv Albert with the czar of the telestrator, Mike Fratello, along with Tom Hammond from the Spectrum in Philly, where the Detroit Pistons were able to defeat the Philadelphia 76ers by the score of 90-83. Stay tuned for the second half of today's NBA doubleheader. It'll be the Boston Celtics and the Los Angeles Lakers. And at halftime, there will be a special moment when the Lakers retire Magic Johnson's number 32. So that is coming up next. Nick Enberg, Steve Jones, and Ahmad Rashad from the Forum in Los Angeles. Again, the final, the Pistons 90 and the 76ers 83. This has been a presentation of the NBA on NBC.